It's like, hey, we were going to have Marz Timms here, but we've got syphilis instead.
PowerPoints, power lunches, conference calls, reply to all, endless meetings, constant check-ins, and so much wasted time. Are you sick of the BS? So are we. It's time to take our time back, rework the way we work, and make every call a call to action. This is a podcast for people who want to stop talking and really start connecting. This is After 12.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to After 12, 12 for 12's original podcast series that explores cool companies, brands, messages, and makers, and what compels us to take notice, buy in, or become fans. As always, I am thrilled to be joined by my partner in life and co-host, Josh Rush. Josh, give a wave.
Hello, hello.
And even more thrilled to welcome to the show, Mr. Marz Timms. Marz.
Yo!
Marz is a Chicago-based comedian, actor, writer, and creator of the award-winning comedy group Pimprov, as well as a live MC for the Chicago Bulls. He's appeared in hundreds of TV productions, including the Netflix series E10, as well as notable commercials for brands like Lowe's, Hanes, and McDonald's. Marz performs all around the world doing stand-up and improv comedy and was most recently on tour in Southeast Asia as COVID-19 was upstaging him at every turn. Marz!
I was absolutely upstaged by COVID-19 at every turn. That thing knocked so many shows off my schedule. I had to come back early. It was just like everywhere I turned, it was COVID-19. It's like, what do I do? It was like being bumped off, the night show by Madonna or somebody.
Well, at least you weren't upstaged by a virus that was below the belt, right?
Right. It's like, hey, we were going to have Marz Timms here, but we've got syphilis instead.
So walk us through your tour in Asia.
Syphilis?
Syphilis? Do not walk us through that. But we're going to put up some images for the folks at home. Walk us through, you're in Southeast Asia. Did you know on tour that this was happening or before the tour was going on? How did you figure all this stuff out?
It was ramping up. I mean, as everything was being planned, because this was planned, my tour was planned last year. So flights were booked, dates were being put together for Shanghai and Hong Kong and Singapore and 3 different places in Thailand, in Japan. And as the date kept getting closer and closer, because I was flying out at the beginning of March, it was just like, well, we should probably not do Shanghai. And then it was just like, well, and people in Hong Kong were still like, no, come on over. It'll be fine. And then it was like, probably shouldn't do Hong Kong. And yeah, dates just started.
How far did you get?
On the tour?
Yeah.
Just Thailand. So 2 different spots in Thailand. A couple of shows in Thailand were canceled. A couple of workshops that I was teaching, those were canceled. And it really cut into the money I was going to make. And while I was there in Thailand, Singapore was cut off the schedule. So came back early.
Was that the first time you'd worn a mask in a strip club?
Absolutely not. R. Kelly made wearing mask, eyes wide shut. I'm really into S&M, and
So, at what point on the tour did you guys decide? Okay, this is too risky. I need to get back to the United States.
About 1 week in. About 1 week in, I was in Bangkok, and then it was just like, then they started talking about closing America, and it was just like, if you're out of the country, you need to get back, or else you won't be able to get in. And they were showing these big, long lines of people taking like 6 hours to get back in at O'Hare Airport. And at that point, it was like, all right, we need to get back. Because in Thailand, it was fine. Everything was fine over there. We're drinking and everybody's running around the streets and eating off food carts, but it was more of a concern.
Were people wearing masks pretty routinely over there at that point, or no?
They already routinely wear masks over there. As far as I'd been to Japan before, and so it was just a natural thing for if you don't feel well, you should wear a mask or to prevent other people from getting sick. So seeing people in masks was, nothing new to me in being in Asia. But it was like more people were wearing them. So that was the thing.
What was it like to come home to see the pandemic hit the media and everybody's freaking out here?
That was weird. I went from being outside all the time and going to the beach and walking around the streets to, all right, stay in the house. And you can't go to the store. And there's a toilet paper shortage and people were like hoarding food and just all these weird things. So it took a week or so to be like, all right, this is life now.
Yeah. And
5 weeks? Are we 5 weeks into this now?
Yeah, about 5 weeks in, 6 weeks. Yeah.
One of the funniest things I've seen so far on social media was, I'm glad I didn't buy a 2020 calendar this year. It's like, in retrospect, no, you don't need it. So, I mean, you have made your living, made your brand by performing live. I mean, you and I met doing Second City shows. And you have such a great energy.
I'm thinking about all the Adam bits in my head. So yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Low bar, low brow. But you made your stake in the ground by like really connecting with your audiences. I mean, even with Pimprov, I mean, you made pimping in America such a relatable profession, and you do it so affably. You do it with honesty and heart. I think that's why you really connect and relate. I mean, now you can't leave your house, and people are hoarding TP. Where do you go from here? Where you got back to the United States, and you're like, okay, now what?
Time to take this shit online. So just started trying to create more online content. So I've been doing
Is it now like pimping, online pimping, or?
No, no online pimping, because that's really hard to do. No, just online, just video shows, little short video, Instagram videos about walking and how to social distance. I like to go for walks early in the morning. It's good for my health and it's great for social distancing. Ding, 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 ding. I got another message. This message reads, how do you social distance while shopping in Target? That's a good question. After thinking long and hard about this is what I came up with. Keep walking and keep social distancing. I have a new idea that I'm working on putting together. So hopefully I'll get that out next week. And you have to switch it up. So this new thing that I'm working on, hopefully that'll take off. Like everything, you do it, you put it out there, you hope it takes off. If it does, like Pimprov was one of those things. It was something I did at the end of a show and people were like, wow, that's really funny. And then we took that idea and the shows and branched into getting donations for domestic abuse shelters and sex trafficking and things of that nature. And we branched it into Toys for Tots program for kids that stay in domestic abuse shelters during the holidays. So that was just one of those funny bits that took off.
And you're doing a lot of live like Facebook streaming stuff, right, Marz?
I like the look of post-production stuff. So I'll write jokes out and then I'll record them and then I'll edit them and chop them up. I haven't done anything live on Facebook. If I'm in some funny situation, sure, I'll go live on Facebook or Instagram, but a lot of my stuff, I like
But
the look of post-production.
Do you
me
get,
too.
that's why we always have to clean ourselves up, because you don't want to see this live. No, but do you get the same sense of like, feedback or gratification? Because you do stand-up shows, you have the audience you can play off of, but when you're doing something like this, it's recorded, any sort of feedback you get is going to be in post. So, I mean, for you as a comedian, as a performer, is it the same? Is it, what's your preference?
It's different. There's nothing like being live in front of a room full of people and the energy that's in the room, and to hear and feel that laughter, and then you feed off that laughter. There's nothing like that. So
if we had a laugh track right now, would it make you feel better?
I like, right now there's a lot of material, and you love, the look of produced content and high production value, especially now. I mean, everybody has to turn to creating digital content like this podcast. What are you seeing that's working? What are you seeing that's not so working?
I've been, looking at a lot of virtual open mics, a lot of virtual improv shows, stage readings, like radio shows that people are doing on Zoom. And all of those things seem to lack that live audience, that energy that you feel. I mean, you can watch it, and you can try and put the thoughts into your, in your head, like, all right, I'm there live experiencing this, but it all seems to lack that energy. So it's kind of flat when you're watching it. Whereas, with post-production stuff and things that are written out, you're like, you have those beats that you can hit, and you're like, well, I haven't tested this joke out in front of an audience, but I know that this is the way the joke is supposed to run, and I know this is the point where it's supposed to get a laugh. So, I think more produced, like TV type stuff, will work, and then you just have to throw it out there and hope for the best.
Did you see? I didn't see it, but I was on the way over here today. NPR was talking about the SNL, broadcasted, something. It was a virtual show, kind of like this.
Yep.
They were talking about it. Kind of, had mixed results. I didn't see it personally, but did you?
I saw a couple of the things that they had on there. The things that worked the best were the Tom Hanks's intro, which he did from his house, and that was fine. It was funny, and they edited it.
Sure.
So it had some post-production value to it.
Right.
The news segment went well with Colin and Shay. They did a Zoom meeting thing where they were all, so that's what everybody's doing. It's like you're making fun of this medium, these Zoom meetings and everything, and that went well. Other than that, it's kind of hard to play off someone when they're not there.
So, I mean, that energy is like the missing, that's the secret sauce to getting comedy right. I mean, could you like substitute that with amphetamines or, stimulants of any kind? Would that help?
Yes.
Hold on.
We'll take a timeout.
Okay, all right. So you've seen a lot of the virtual stuff going on. Is any of that working? Mm-hmm. Like VR or gamified kind of open mics or stand-up stuff? Have you enjoyed any of that? I mean, is it funny? In particular, which comedians were you the most impressed with?
I've watched a couple of virtual open mics. I haven't joined in. I've watched some virtual improv. I haven't joined in. I'm waiting for something that grabs me, and I haven't found that yet. I know there's a lot of the comedians that I know aren't doing like actual stand-up shows.
Yeah.
So because they don't want to do their jokes, into a camera and not to a live audience. So and I think a big part of that is if they could do their shows for a group of people that weren't comedians watching on the other end, that's different. A lot of the people that are logging in to watch these things are other comics, and comics are the worst audience members, even at live shows, because usually they're in the back of the house and they're making fun of you while you're on stage. They're not necessarily listening to you, but they're either working on their own jokes, or they're like, oh yeah, I've heard this bit before, not funny. Or they're just like, oh yeah, let's have some drinks, let's go out, let's smoke. So comics are the worst audiences. So if you're doing a show and you're getting a live audience watching you, I think there'd be more comics apt to do a virtual show. But a lot of the things that I'm seeing are other comics watching other comics. And hell, open mics live suck. So virtual open mics. It's rough. It's a rough go.
We've got you've got to create your own energy. You've got to literally grab yourself, and the audience right now, because it's so new, is all other comics that are as ego driven as we are as human beings. So they're not necessarily the best audience. But I mean, as this quarantine continues and as we realize it's like live events aren't going to happen until 2024,
I think.
Where's the Prosecco, Josh? I don't have my glass. I mean, what do you, I mean, like, what's your priority now? Are you trying to create more like kind of scripted, Marz Timms presents kind of stuff? And are you like, at what point are you comfortable getting other actors or comedians involved?
Soon. I have an idea that I'm working on.
Well, let's hear about it.
You stay in this bubble right here.
All right. Breaking news. Working on this, like a virtual roast, and I'm going to call it the potluck. It's where we bring the roast to your home. And so we'll go on a virtual tour of someone's home, and then there'll be 3 comedians, and those 3 comedians will then each get 5 minutes to roast your house.
I love it.
So there'll be post-production added to it where, if they're roasting a specific thing, I'll get that person whose house we went through to send those pictures in to add it to the show, and I'll host it. So yeah, it's called the potluck, and it's going to be a virtual roast in your home of your home.
You should get Adam. He should get the guys that put your Palm Springs house on the market and let them come in there though.
Adam's got a Palm Springs home.
Business has been good.
Adam wasn't always a heterosexual. Let me ask you: Have you thought about using like a VR or not VR, but 360 camera? Because then you'd be able to put it up, and you could actually stream it. You could walk through it. I don't know. That's just an idea that one of our partners is doing a lot of.
We're trying to upsell you now, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks.
Now,
have you heard of Echelon Design?
It's the only reason we brought you on this show.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, that was good.
So, but what if, Adam, you and I and the team have been working on some stuff lately. And one of the opportunities that we're trying to explore with virtual is just what we've just described, which is getting people into a true virtual space, not like this call where it's flat, but like your avatarized or avatarized. How would you say that?
I would say, James Cameron.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you get your avatar self into the space, and you could, and there was spatial audio, and you could be delivering jokes through an amplified sound system in my head, and you could get feedback. Like if we could laugh, like Adam and I are laughing, and you could feel that in 360, would that Marz, what do you think? Would that be a little better?
You wouldn't have to wear pants.
Yeah, that would definitely be a little better. I'm not. Yeah, that would be better. I don't have that technology myself, but yeah, I think if you could feel like you were in a room with people, that would help. And
what are the last four digits of your credit card number?
2, 3, 4.
Perfect.
5.
Have you ever been
6.
fitted for a full haptic bodysuit?
No, I have not.
Okay,
But
we'll
I
have to
have.
Adrian,
taken,
get the suit.
Milk bath.
Yeah.
Get the
Erica
suit.
Baidu. Not Erica.
Is that a real thing? You've taken a milk bath? Send pictures.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So
I look like pudding in milk.
So I mean, outside of like going virtual, how have you been collaborating now, like with, like Greg, for instance, who's one of your writing partners, or your other comics? Like, what are your friends doing, and what do you think of what they're doing? You think it's working? I mean, the other thing is, no one's making any movies, no one's making any TV shows. Like, what is the impact of that, and how are major production companies going to deal with this lull? Because there's also a need for more content since we're sitting at home.
Yeah, it's live productions have stopped. Voiceovers are still going, so I've been doing some voiceover stuff. I think animation is probably going to take off a little bit more because, I know with my agency and a lot of the voiceover studios, they're making sure you have a home studio. And if you have a home studio, they send you scripts, you record it. We're able to patch in live with producers and the engineers and everything. So I think animation and voiceover things are going to take off a little bit more. And that's good because a lot of us are ugly, Adam. Not all of us are as gorgeous as you are.
Marz, I love you. Let me ask you, I mean, do you get people now virtually, I guess, like when they see your Facebook clips, do they say, hey, that's Jax from the 2011 Mortal Kombat video game because of the facial,
Of course.
That wasn't totally rehearsed. That wasn't rehearsed.
That was not rehearsed. But I was looking at your just watching some clips just to have, some talking points with you. And I had no idea that you had done that video game. And I always used to play Jax, and I would actually have Jax play with other characters, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Jax
hey,
plays with a lot
kind of thinking about the last question. I was, I'm a huge sports fan, and I keep thinking about just how ridiculously shitty sports are going to be when they come back because people can't practice. There's no chemistry. I mean, even just physically, the preparation that goes into getting your body ready for live, professional sports. On the other side of that, I mean, even for performers like yourself, it's, is there going to be some, deficiency and just like, it's like you're going to get out there and really just bomb the first time you get out in front of a live audience.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you get up and you're trying these new COVID-19 jokes, they're going to fall flat. People already are sensitive about certain things that you say on stage. You're going to do a COVID-19 joke and someone in the audience is going to be like, my grandma died of COVID-19. That's not funny.
Leave it to David Chappelle. He'll win.
Yeah,
he'll win again.
They'll be like, I don't care. I gotta tell these jokes. Y'all just gonna have to laugh at them.
Well, that's an interesting question in itself. I mean, is anything off limits now? I mean, like, is it too soon? We've made a lot of like references to the wet markets in this podcast, and I have a very short list of lowbrow jokes that I always return to. If you remember, when we work together, it's like, the really funny people just continue to talk about like, stuff below the waist, drug humor, all the shit that I do. And I think of like, does this open up? Does this expand our our opportunity to make fun of everything because we are in like, high mortality, high morbidity thing. We're quarantined to our homes. I mean, I would almost think that this would be a time that you could go blue and darker.
Full
yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
That's not correct.
It's about being clever.
Yeah.
and a lot of people are,
Yeah.
you find your audience. Your audience knows you. There are people that like that. There are people that don't. I try to walk in the middle. I can go highbrow, or I can definitely go blue. But it's all about being clever with the jokes and how you word them and your punchlines and making it so that people don't see the punchline coming, and then they're just like, "Oh, I thought he was going to go somewhere with this, and I thought he was going this direction with this, and I was about to get upset, and then he took it back this way, and then I'm just like, oh, all right, well, that was funny." So, it's just about writing and being funny. Ultimately, if it's funny and people laugh, then it's fine. If you do a dead grandma joke and it bombs, then that's not funny. But if you do a dead grandma joke and people are like, woo, so it's all about getting the laughs at the end.
Maybe
laughs at the end, humor. Funny.
What would you like to see change from this experience that everybody's going through in entertainment, in comedy, in performing?
I'm always looking for less sensitive people, because good comedy is about finding that edge and then just being on that edge and just towing that edge all the way through your show. You might slip over a little bit, and if you slip over, you don't want people to be like, this is an outrage. But if you go over a little bit and you find your way back, and sometimes you don't push it as far, it's about people understanding that good comedy is about that edge and finding that edge and being able to walk that edge, and everybody being able to experience all of this together and laugh at it. Because in the end, these are jokes. We're comedians. We're not doctors. We don't have to have a bedside manner in telling you that you have syphilis or whatever you have, Adam.
Full circle.
That's improv. Adam and I learned that at Second City.
Yeah.
That's a callback.
Callback.
So just people to ease up a little bit on the sensitivity and being so PC with comedy. I mean, if you're out in public and somebody with a shopping cart full of Confederate flags calls you the N-word, you could be sensitive then. But then a comedian would find the comedy in that and be like, first of all, you shouldn't have been shopping at Confederate Flags R Us. That was your first mistake. Is there a Confederate Flags R Us? But
they're out of business now.
They went out of business? What?
They just went out of business. That just happened.
Oh, damn it.
It's the COVID.
It's the COVID.
It's the Chinese. Freaking Chinese again.
Well, I mean, Marz, I think you pull a really good point, is that, if it's clever, if it's honest, if it walks that edge, then people will appreciate it. And I think right now we're kind of all walking the edge. I mean, every day is Tuesday. Every day's got like a high of, anxiety and a low of completely, soused drunk. And somewhere in the middle is depression and grief. And, I feel like this is a great time to walk the edge with you. I was telling you when we talked yesterday, there is no funnier person for me that, like, I mean, I think about when we did the Cards Against Humanity for 12 for 12, and the way white people is, card came up.
And would you like those buffalo wings mild, hot, or blank?
Mild, hot, or blank?
Okay.
And would you like those buffalo wings mild, hot, or the way white people is? Which...
Is that yours? That has to be yours.
Where are all the white people cards?
Yeah.
You are so good at, like, making fun of white people in a way that doesn't alienate white people. And as a representative of white people, like, we need to be fucking alienated. I mean, like, honestly. I mean, like...
Some douche with an acoustic guitar. I had to do it. He doesn't even remember. Josh
does the best impressions of people that you've never heard of. But in this case, you know yourself. And I raise a glass to you, my friend. If at any time I want to be walking the edge with somebody that makes me laugh, it's now with you. So, hey, dude, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for not wearing pants.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marz.
You're welcome. And just tilt the camera down just so we can see what you're grabbing. Love you, brother. And thanks for watching out there at After 12. If you have any questions for Marz, you can hit him up at www.marztimms.com and look for his Insta at, what's your Insta, Marz?
Marz Timms, M-A-R-Z, like the planet except with the Z, T-I-M-M-S.
And we're working actively to change the name and the spelling of the planet to Marz Timms. Join us next time on After 12. Marz, punch it out with a funny joke.
Hey, my son got that question wrong on a test. They were like, name the red planet, and he wrote M-A-R-Z, and it came back wrong. It's spelled with an S, and he was like, not in my house.
Thanks for watching, and thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome. Now I'll go not shave.